Hey everybody, welcome to Bucs Live. I'm one of your hosts, Rick Hughes, and this is
David Whitescover, your other host.
all right. We are here to have a good time talking some Bucs football, like usual. We're gonna have a special guest. We'll get into that in a little bit, and we're excited about Bucs talk. OTAs started today, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's get ready.
Are you ready?
Get ready.
Get ready. It's time for Bucs Live.
Wait a minute. Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers talk with Rick Hughes and David Whitescarver.
This is
Bucs Live.
Let's Go.
2024, let's go. Let's
Not
do
everybody
this.
showed up today for work.
No, not everybody showed up today. Not everybody showed. You know what? I had the day off. Maybe somebody else. And it's not just here, by the way. And we'll get into this. We will get into this. But it's 2024. Everybody, saddle up, get ready. Let's go. It's time for another season. All
October
aboard.
3rd, man. I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
aboard.
I'm salivating.
All aboard. And I will still tell you guys, and I've said this for 5 years now. These are the golden years. This is going to be the time we look back on and say, wow, remember that run we had. So enjoy it. Get on board. Be a fan. Cheer. Stop stressing over every little thing. And just have some fun. Have some fun. Dave, you having fun? You ready for this year?
Well, I would if everybody shows up for work, but they didn't. Otherwise, I'm having a great time.
Dave.
What?
Dave, are you new around here?
No.
Well, we're going to get into that. Okay. Okay. So it's not just in Tampa. It's not just in Tampa that people don't show up for work in OTAs. Maybe you heard Aaron Rodgers didn't show up today at OTAs for the Jets, which to me is like,
He's been there so long. I mean, I can understand. He was there for 3 plays. He's got it all down. He knows all the tendencies of his teammates.
Yes, he's wow. I'm amazed that he didn't show up. Now, what Dave is alluding to is Tristan Wirfs. Well, he showed up. And that may not be what Dave. Are you talking about him or Randy Gregory?
Yes, I'm talking about both of them.
Well,
one of them shows up, doesn't show up for work, excuse me, and then the other one shows up and does nothing.
Well, let's talk about the one who just plain didn't show up, Randy Gregory. He's a free agent.
Edge rusher, position of need.
The Bucs, he's a free agent, and he's not there. No, he's in a lawsuit with, I forget if it's the NFL or the NFLPA. It's not a good look. Not a good start.
Didn't Mr. Bowles say it's unexcused and we'll deal with it?
Yes,
That's not a good look at all.
And right. He said that it was an unexcused absence and we'll deal with it. And what I think that means, I think there's going to be a fine. There's, whatever. But let's see if he shows up tomorrow. If he doesn't show up tomorrow, you start then you start going, I'm not sure what's going on here with this free agent, but I wonder if the Bucs, if he never shows up, do the Bucs get to clear that cap space? That's an interesting question. I'd rather have him on the team and performing at a decent level, but if he's going to no-show, can you just sign a contract with a little bit of guaranteed money and then just never show up? I mean, what an awesome way to exit the league. I think every player should do that.
Well, Antonio Brown was invited to not show up
Yeah.
after his contract by more than one team.
Right.
He's got some serious bills to pay, by the way.
Yeah, and not much to pay that with. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Guys, we're going to Randy Gregory, that's a potential problem, let's be honest, okay? Tristan Wirfs is the other one. And by the way, let me also set the stage for what we're going to talk about today, and we're also going to discuss the schedule. We're going to go through the schedule, kind of do a quick run through game by game, sort of give you an outlook about what we think is going to happen this year. We'll talk about that. But Tristan Wirfs. Now, there are a lot of people freaking out about Tristan Wirfs. Pay the guy. Oh, my God, you're not paying the guy. We got to pay him. I got to ask you guys if you're new around here.
First time.
Okay. That's dude reminded me of that clip. I gotta ask you, are you guys new around here? First time? I mean, is this the first time you were? I mean, they did this with Mike Evans. They've done this with every major free agent signing that they've had. This is nothing new. Just relax. Just stop panicking. Stop freaking out.
They're going to pay him. He's not going to go somewhere else.
It's not even a question. Okay. So stop worrying about it. All right. This team's fine. They're fine. Okay. They are fine. And Tristan Wirfs is just somebody you don't need to stress about Tristan Wirfs. He's, if not the best tackle in the league, he's certainly almost the best tackle in the league. So just don't worry about it. They'll get it all taken care of. They're in negotiations. They're going to get it all hammered out and worked out. It'll all happen. Don't worry. Okay. This is just part of the business. Now, Graham Barton. I want to talk about Graham Barton. Dave, what's the statistic on how successful centers are when you draft them in the first round?
Well, Rick, thank you for asking the question. And when we say success, we're talking about having a second contract with the same team success. With the center, it's 93%. And the second position isn't even close.
93% of the time, if you draft a center, they end up being successful enough to sign a second contract with the same team. So, what are the early signs? What are the early signs? The early signs are they started Graham Barton working with the backup second string. They sort of got his feet wet earlier, and now the OTAs have started, mandatory OTAs. Guess who they moved to starting center today? Graham Barton. They moved to starting center. They obviously feel
93%.
Yeah, they obviously are feeling like, okay, we're good. He's gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna be great right out of the gate, but I am saying, if you're reading the tea leaves, looks pretty good. And I don't know. That's you gotta. If you're reading the tea leaves, I don't suggest you read the tea leaves, but if all signs are as good as they can be, as good as you could hope for, certainly at this point.
It's June 11th, and he's already playing with the starters.
Right. So at some point, you look at it and go, well, all right. I mean, let me put it to you this way. They're not looking at him and they're not saying, let's give him some more work with the backups. They're saying, all right, he looked good enough with the backups to give him a shot with the starters. So, all right, good for him. Let's, as they say, let's do this thing. I don't know. I mean, it's if I was a betting man, um, if I was a betting man, I would bet that he's going to be successful. But being a betting man these days can be a little bit concerning. Um,
You can lose your
so
job for life, Rick.
let's talk about that.
To the hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop, and you don't stop the rocket to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the.
Okay, I'm only briefly going to touch on this. Baseball, Padres second baseman banned for life. Basketball, brother of a starter on the, at least for another week, the defending champion Denver Nuggets, banned for life for gambling. Whose fault is this at the end of the day? It's all these sports leagues. It's the NFL. Because what do we see? Every other commercial these days is for some gambling site, something related to gambling with the Mannings, the first family, at least the first quarterback family of the NFL, and Kevin Hart. That's all you see. You're creating this scenario where you're going to have more and more suspensions, more and more people being banned for life. What could possibly go wrong when you take young kids and you throw millions of dollars at them and you have every other of your advertisements being for gambling? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Not good things. This could undermine the sports leagues long term, and it's not a good look, and it's only going to get worse. In the sports leagues, the National Football League, Roger Goodell, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
So who's being a baby?
The National Football League, the greedy.
They're greedy because they're
greedy. They want more. They want more revenue for gambling. They want their cut of the pie, but it's going to infect the league, and it's going to undo the belief that this is up and up. It's going to just be more and more prevalent. I mean, come on. You're making billions of dollars off of gambling, and you're fining and suspending players for doing a parlay on the side. I mean, come on.
So what they're doing is saying, we want a piece of the pie when it comes to gambling, but you can't have one. And
Correct.
that is
you can't do anything. Can't bet on it. Nothing.
So going back, I wanted to actually touch on this a little bit. Going back to a lot of you guys know I was a professional photographer for years, and I actually worked for several teams and for Pro Football Weekly and some other stuff. And when I worked with the Falcons cheerleaders, we went to the Bahamas and we did a photo shoot, their swimsuit calendar. We had to do the photo shoot. We did it at a place. We actually were based at a resort that had a casino attached. And the Falcons cheerleaders were all informed. You are not to go in the casino. You are not to go near the casino. You are not to be photographed in front of the casino. Nothing that says the word casino. You are to have nothing to do with the casino. These were the cheerleaders. Okay. Flash forward to this. And it's a whole different animal. Now, I want to be clear. I want to tell you something else, though. I worked with the Cincinnati Bengals, and we also did a photo shoot in the Bahamas.
Do the girls have to bring their own swimsuits and stuff?
And no. And oddly enough, those cheerleaders were in the casino half the time we were there, which tells you the different organizations, tells you a lot about the different organizations. The Falcons cheerleaders were literally, when we were not doing photo shoots, they were practicing their routines. They found an empty grass area and were practicing their routines the whole time we were down there. And they were just very, very professional. But I wanted to point out that the difference, and how at that time, the cheerleaders were not allowed to be near a casino. Now like you said, Kevin Hart, Peyton Manning, I mean, it's promoted, it's promoted, it's promoted. Then they wanted nothing to do with it. I think that's just a fascinating little part of the story, just to add a little flavor to the story there that you said. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
times they're changing.
But some things don't change. And these young kids coming into the league, they're very naive. They're having millions of dollars thrown at them.
Yeah.
And it's just a recipe for disaster. Even for older players. I mean, somebody gets in a bad spot for whatever reason, fill in the blank, and then you have a gambler that comes along and says, hey, if you ever really need a little help, just give me a little information. Nobody will know.
Well,
wrong.
Let me be clear. I don't have a problem if, let's say, Mike Evans were to go place a bet at the Kentucky Derby. I don't care if Mike Evans bets on baseball. I don't even care if Mike Evans places a bet on the UFL. Is that whatever that other league is?
The United Football League,
yeah.
Yes.
I don't even care about that. But
I do
care if Mike Evans bets on something in the NFL, because there are friendships, there are ties, there are things that I understand. Now listen, I don't want to get off track too far. I want to say this. Whether you love a player or not doesn't impact your decision with regards to this. In baseball, I loved Pete Rose, but I understand what the situation is there. Look, bringing betting into the game. You guys, do you remember how this concerns me more than the players? You remember when there was an NBA referee who got paid off and was he was rigging games, and it came out, and it's a fact. If we heard right now that 2 seasons ago there was a referee who was rigging to make sure the Rams made it into the Super Bowl because he thought that's what the NFL wanted. This is what happened in the NBA.
You're referring to Tim Donaghy back in 2007.
Yeah, he felt as though the league wanted him to. He wanted certain teams to win, wanted certain players to do well, and he just sort of helped with regard to that. My concern is when that happens in the NFL, because can you imagine as a Buccaneers fan barely missing a Super Bowl and finding out, oh, that referee was getting paid a little on the side to make this call or that call. This is where it all concerns me, and I think Dave's point is right. We are playing with fire. We are really playing with fire. Now, we've gotten way off track of OTAs. I want to bring it back to OTAs because the Bucs are on the field in this 2024. I want to get back into that. But I do think that what Dave said is valuable enough to really dig into and cover. And I think that's poignant and well-deserved. And guys, the clock's ticking until the first big problem in the NFL. And it's going to happen when it comes to gambling.
Well, these things have a way of breeding themselves, because Scott Foster is known as one of the all-time great NBA referees, but he had a lot of contact with text messaging with Tim Donaghy. He was a good friend of his. And he still has that stigma that comes up periodically. A fan will bring it up. Just it's like, okay, if you're a friend of a guy who got busted for dealing with gamblers, and you were a friend and you contacted him almost daily, you're going to tell me you weren't involved? And he still deals with that. And it goes back to 2007 when all this took place.
Yeah.
So it's like throwing a pebble in a lake. It has a huge ripple effect, and it consumes other people as well as the immediate situation, but the fallout from it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, back to OTAs, because it's really what we all care about. 2024, the Bucs. And I want to bring in. We had a guest come in last week, and I know Dave and I absolutely loved having this guy as a guest, and we are fortunate enough to have him back. It's Tony Adame, and from Heavy.com, he covers the Buccaneers. He covers the Washington Commanders. I almost messed that up. And
How so, Rick?
that was close. That was close. And Tony, I'm sorry, forgive me. What was the other team that you covered?
The Broncos.
The Broncos. Thank
There we
you.
go.
The new
There we
addition. Dave, the graphic of you as a baby was truly disturbing.
It took all afternoon to film that stuff, especially the skating backwards part.
It'd be tough to shake that one.
Yeah, it lived in my head for a while too.
Thanks for having me on. It's good to see you
Hey.
guys again.
I'm so glad you're back. Tony, bring us up to date on what you're hearing with your ear to the ground. What are you hearing about the OTAs? We've sort of talked a little bit about Tristan Wirfs and what's going on there. We've talked a little bit about Vita Vea losing weight. We've talked a little bit about
Randy Gregory not showing up.
Yeah.
I thought you guys made a good point on Wirfs. It's interesting because it's like the deal is happening. It's not, and it's such a good sign too when the guys show up and they don't.
Yeah.
You're there. They're there. I think it's kind of a sign to the team. Hey, this is what's going on now. Like a guy like now a training camp holdout is different, but when a guy just is there with him too, it's so obvious. Like he's on. Truth be told, he's my favorite. He's my favorite NFL player right now. I just love how he plays. See a big guy move like that is just amazing. But yeah, I'm sure it's just a quabble over he's trying to get more money than Sewell from the Lions. Who got the I think his was 121 million over 5 years, I believe.
Right.
It's just so interesting. I see what you guys think of this. Like Sewell plays right tackle. So with Wirfs, I assume they're going in and his agent is saying, hey, well, we're worth more than this deal, this guy over here. They're the same age. They have kind of the same statistics, same honors, same grading. What do you guys think? I mean, that deal is got to be – you have to do it.
It's
I'll just
gonna
get
happen
Mike Evans to restructure his contract again.
for the
fine.
53rd time.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
I mean,
a guy like Randy Gregory is interesting because you look at his contract and it's 1 year for $3 million, but it's worth up to $5 million in incentives.
Right.
And the cynical part of me saw him sitting out, and it's going to be about if he doesn't show up, he's going to pay about $100,000 in fines.
Well, we brought this up. I'm glad you're connecting these two because I asked the question earlier: does that free out cap space? If can you sign a contract and just never show up? I mean, how does?
I'm trying to think of guys that have done it. I don't think it happens very often. I think no, I don't think it would clear up cap space. I think they'd still have to eat. It'd be so small though and so minuscule. Right. I think it'd be something like it'd probably just have to eat the $3 million. Or even a little less than that.
For a guy that doesn't even play, do they have to pay him?
It's all contract driven.
Cap space.
Well, I think that if he doesn't show up for training camp would be the real concern. I assume with him, it's such a weird deal with the lawsuit. You guys know what the lawsuit, he's suing the Broncos. And it's so weird because it's like, if you read about it, you wonder what's going on there because the NFL hasn't tested for actual marijuana in several years.
Right. That confused me. This confused me. So I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Well, what it is he is suing over synthetic marijuana, which is like, it's a lot more, I'd say it's a lot more dangerous actually to use.
Okay.
It's something that, kind of has put people in episodes and it's way more, it's not like actual pot. So
yeah, I forgot the name of it. There's some
Garabinol was what he was getting prescribed, but
it's
synthetic pot. So it's kind of a scary deal. Actually, it's like one of those things where a few years ago, like they were putting warnings outside of store, like convenience stores were able to sell it. They're putting warnings, people smoking it, going crazy. The really famous one was the defensive end for Old Miss that got drafted so high. He smoked them and jumped out like a 4-story window at a hotel. And Nimdiche, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he was, yeah. So it's a serious deal. But with him, I think the cynical part of me saw that he was not going to camp, and I was like, he must have just also seen their edge rushers and been like, I don't need to be at camp. I'm fine. I'll take the hit.
I'm out back in the pool. I'll let you know when I'll show up.
Like, I think I can come in and get. You guys are paying me for 4 sacks this year, and I can come in and get it. I don't need to be at minicamp.
Yeah, he's I'm good.
Catch you next week, maybe.
He wasn't shaking in his boots when he saw Yaya Diaby. He was like, "Oh,
yeah." What? But now, am I correct? Yaya Diaby led the team in sacks last year, right? And
yeah, he had 7.5, and more. The real alarming stat is that Winfield was second on the team with 6. Yeah. So you got a guy, he's 5'10", 5'9", 190 pounds. Yeah, that's not good.
Your safety is your second leading.
Yeah, you don't want your safety to be one of your leading sacks.
It seems like Cansey though could be a kind of a guy in the middle who could.
Yeah.
Just because I know he was hurt last year, and he came at the end of the year. He was playing really well. So
right.
I mean, if he keep that going, that could be. I mean, he could be huge for them.
Right.
He can rush in different. He's an interior. You could put him on some of those, 3rd and long packages. If he's having a good season rushing, you could put him on the edge too on those passing downs. He's a good rusher.
Yeah. Now, speaking of being huge for the Bucs, Vita Vea,
previously huge.
Yeah, well, that's still a big boy. But I mean, did you see any of the video of him today? He does look thinner. I mean, it looks he's big, but he looks thinner.
But yeah, it's not 3. He's not 340 or 350 anymore. So, he's like you said, when you get that big, it's kind of like you guys said this last time we were on. Once you get up to like that range, it's kind of like it can be a little hard to tell, but that is a huge difference for him. That losing, 30 or 40 pounds could really extend his career.
I heard he may have played at 360 last year. They were talking about that on Sports Talk in Tampa. I don't know how true it is.
I mean, I think that could be right. If you watched him play last year, and he's what is he like 6'3" or something? He's huge, and they're like the NBA too. Like, it's kind of been widely thought, like in the NBA, that LeBron James for the last 6 or 7 years has been about 280, 290 pounds of just, pure. But it still lists them at whatever 250. Those guys, once they get in there, the weight thing is once they're a veteran, that's out the window. So yeah.
Well, Vea, like I said, I saw a little bit of video, and it surprised me. I will say it did surprise me because I thought, okay, he lost weight. He's going to lose 20, 30 pounds. You're not really going to see a difference because he's that huge. But when I saw him, I was like, he's a huge boy. I mean, that's a big old dude. But he looked a little thinner. His face looked thinner. He just looked thinner. And it was like, not thin, not skinny, not like what Brady did at the end. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't look at him and go, uh-oh. But, I'm just wondering if he's not just going to be able to move a lot better.
Yeah, I pulled up a video of him, the one that everybody's talking about. I think he looks like he probably lost. I think he probably lost about 20 pounds from from last season. There's a fellow big guy like Vita Vea. You kind of can see it. You just look right at the midsection, and it's a little not quite as rounded off. So
right.
I mean, that is scary to think of him getting a little extra motivation. Yeah, that's a scary thought for them.
Speaking of Joe Troyan-Sroyinka. We talked last time about, is that guy good trade bait? Is that whatever? Does Randy Gregory, does what's happening there, all of a sudden, do you have to look and say maybe JTS is a little more important because maybe we have a wild card head case?
I think that the thought with Gregory was that, JTS is kind of penciled in as a starter, really shaky ground. Bring Gregory in to put some pressure on him, or just basically take that one spot and make it like a rotation kind of player.
Right.
But 100%, there's no way if the guy is missing minicamp. And these guys these NFL head coaches, most of the time, are so careful with their words. And if you read what Todd Bowles said, it's pretty cutting. And I don't think if they were looking at trades for him, I assume that all those that have to be shut down because you got to make sure there's a body there.
Well, he said, I think his words were, it's an inexcused absence, and we'll deal with it. I think that's
he called it disappointing.
Yeah, and that you kind of wonder does communication prior to OTAs? Did they show up today and go, "Hey, where's Randy?" Or was did they kind of know it was coming?
I mean, it could happen like that. It can definitely happen like that. It could come down to the day of, and they're calling him. They're probably, I would assume his teammates, whoever he's in touch with, were probably letting him know. But man, with a guy like that has such a long history of, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's had 4, drug-related suspensions in his career, has had to sit out a whole year once, and then almost another whole year while he was appealing.
Right.
There's something there that's never going to be like, it's not somebody that you can always probably get a hold of really easily.
But that's a guy that you got to figure look, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody goes through growth processes. Everybody goes through different things. And if the Bucs signed him, that means they sold a bill of goods to the Buccaneers saying things are different now. And guys, those are great words, but I mean,
and he's 31. It's not like he's a kid. I mean,
yeah. And I don't know they protect the privacy of those guys pretty good. Like would the Bucs have known that there's no way I think the Bucs could have known he'd had $500,000 in fines, 2 years ago with the Broncos. I know they protect those guys' privacy with medical stuff. I don't think that's something they would know, but you get into this, then you start to think about like what the substance is and kind of get into the weeds on it a little bit, and it is a little more concerning.
Get the weeds. Yeah.
See what you did there.
This whole season, the edge rushers should just go to pot. It'd be terrible.
Bravo.
Nice. Anything else that we're not, that we don't know about, that we haven't mentioned? We brought up Graham Barton and started.
Yeah, you guys had some good takes on Barton. I love that. I love the 93% stat on the first round center signing the next contract is just an amazing stat. And just obviously the general manager for the Bucs has such a great track record of drafting big guys, and it's like that's pretty exciting for the Buccaneers because their center was so terrible last year, like literally maybe the worst center in the NFL grading wise.
Right.
So Graham Barton is I mean, I kind of got the feeling though when I saw the video of him showing up to I don't know what everybody's calling out $1.
It's $1. It's $1. It will always be $1.
Well, you saw the big smile on Tristan Wirf's face when he walks in and he shakes hands with the head coach, and then Tristan Wirf walks directly up to him and is shaking his hand, and he's, because I mean that's the guy. Those are the guys that would know. They're like, oh, that's a good sign, and he is a phenomenal player. So that's big time for them. That's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, that I think is.
Oh, where they drafted him, a starter that you could potentially have for years and years. It's Wirfs and Barton would be a fabulous combination for many years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, anybody else anything that you're hearing that is other than those guys? Are we hearing anything about how's the offense? I mean, I know it's
backup quarterback.
I get it. I get it. It's day one of OTAs. I'm reaching.
There's some decent veteran quarterbacks out there. If they start to feel like, maybe they need a little insurance, there's probably a guy they could get. I mean, I don't know how much money they'd want to spend on, but there's some decent guys out there.
Who are you thinking? Because is it? I mean, it's funny. There's always somebody on your roster depth that you hear great things about, like Wolford, right?
Yeah.
Like this guy is so underrated. He should, that guy probably should get a shot. Well, if he should have gotten a shot, he would have gotten a shot. So who's out there that you're thinking?
I just looking at the list of the guys there. I mean, they're not going to bring in Tannehill, too much of a threat to Mayfield.
Right.
I'm sure. Out of this list of guys, Gabbert, maybe.
Hey, welcome back, Blaine.
Yeah, AJ McCarron is, if he doesn't get hurt playing in the UFL, would be a good backup. Danucci, who'd been the backup for the Cowboys, who'd been kind of okay. I mean, there's some bums out there left, so it's not
right.
There's not a lot they're going to be able to do.
Yeah,
there, so.
that's what I'm thinking. Wolford is probably, and while they will probably list Trask at number 2, I'm not sure if he is.
Yeah,
number 2.
Nobody. It's like those two guys seem pretty interchangeable.
Yeah.
The one thing I did hear, one thing this week is like I feel like they're starting to. There were so many trade rumors around Chris Godwin and saying they're working on this extension. I just like. To me, it's just like that would be such a mistake to do anything with him, even if you just got the conditional draft pick because he left after this year. Like you could have a really good season. I wouldn't mess with it. He's to me still a really elite wide receiver. I don't think they should move him anywhere.
If he's back in the slot, he can be an elite receiver. He only had 2 touchdowns last year. I think that's a problem.
Still
I
had
think
1,000
McMillan
yards.
is a guy. McMillan is a guy who can go. If he's right. He can play where Godwin was last year. And Godwin
okay, Sterling Shepard is that anything? Is that just is he a depth piece or is he going to be probably number 3?
No, I think that's just good depth because he has been around a while. Somebody that Mayfield is obviously really comfortable with.
Right,
a veteran can come in and.
Oh, they go back to Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
Yes,
that's right. That's right. One of his favorite receivers.
Yep. Okay, so. I mean, so OTAs day 1, nothing but good news really coming out other than Randy Gregory, which again, I don't know that the Bucs were really counting on Randy Gregory. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just so weird. He's kind of like how it's not something that should even make news. It's like the guy can't, whatever's going on with him. Obviously, they're letting Tristan Wirfs come and just stand on the sideline, You can just show up. You'd be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
New team don't show, and the coach is already disappointed.
Well, by the way, just to switch gears, and I got to do this. What about Aaron Rodgers doing the same thing? Can somebody please explain to me?
Well, he's already comfortable and played so much with the Jets, and he's got all these tendencies of his teammates. He doesn't need that.
Where do you guys think he is? Because the Salah's wording was so strange because he showed up in the morning and did like the media stuff and all the stuff outside, and then he left. I assume private jet in the afternoon. And Salah said that he talked to him about it. He said he had something important for him to do to him. And it's like, man, is it an ayahuasca retreat? Is he at an ashram? Is there a concert he's going to be at? I would say if you want to know where Aaron Rodgers is, check TMZ this weekend. I thought that was such weird wording. Is there a Robert F. Kennedy rally he's doing at? It was strange. It's something important to him. It said it's something.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting nominated to be vice president. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm getting
It's something very important. Aaron Rodgers is just piqued my interest. It was like, what? This could be a lot of different things.
Yeah. This is a very long list.
Well, it's just weird. It could
weird. It's Tuesday. I mean,
it is weird. I mean, yeah, he's got a year under his belt with the Jet. Yeah, right, 3 plays. But yeah, when I heard it, I was like, and again, reading what Robert Saleh said, the way that he said it, he didn't seem very happy.
When your coach says, "Yeah, well, we want all our guys here," but it's something was really important to him, and it's like, well, he's lost all his corporate sponsorships, so there's not like anything. I don't know what it is, but it's something really weird.
Yeah. It's going to be something strange. It's going to be something strange.
Who knows? With him, it could be anything.
Yeah, they're scanning.
Well, that's where my dog will go.
No, they're scanning. He's doing a full body scan for the Jeopardy online game. Who
he can be part of that. Who knows? He really wanted that job too. So
yeah,
who knows?
Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I really feel for Jets fans.
You got him, and then you got Reddick, who just they make that great trade for Reddick, and he shows up and he's just like, "Pay me, I want more money."
It's amazing. It's that's the Jets being the Jets.
Some
Yeah.
things never change.
Yep. And everybody thinks every year. And so the Jets being the Jets, you've got to figure the Panthers are going to be the Panthers. Now, I live here in Charlotte, and I can tell you I've been listening to some of the press conferences coming out of the Panthers. And it's very funny to hear the different tone right now coming out of the Panthers when you
How
hear.
would you describe it? Like fatalistic or what? Or they're not. They can't be excited.
Well, last year when my mind's going blank, I'm losing his name. Their head coach, the Panthers.
Reich.
No,
Dave
this year.
Canales.
Dave
Oh,
Canales.
Canales,
Thank
new
you.
head coach.
I couldn't come up with it right.
What's the over under on him getting fired?
Before the season starts. That was the best question you've ever asked before game one. But when you listen to, first of all everything that's coming out, they're trying to push the Panthers or trying to push the city of Charlotte to upgrade the stadium. They want a lot of money to upgrade the stadium. And the city's not really getting behind it. Right. They're not really getting behind it. And
You're not the Hornets.
right. And
we don't care about you.
Tepper is saying, well, if you want me to stay. So now he's starting to float that. So there's already, as if he wasn't in a bad enough position with the city after last year. Now he's starting to float, well, if I, can't upgrade the stadium, maybe I'll leave. Maybe we'll take the team somewhere else. And I'm like, really? You want to go there? And Dave Canales last year was so positive, and you felt the vibe, and you just felt it. And this year, when you hear him, he's like, well, we got a lot of good pieces here, and it's going to be a growth process.
Like he's trying to convince himself.
You hear a coach say growth process this in June. That you're
right.
They're 5.5. I looked at MGM. They're 5.5 wins for their over under. I'm going under on that.
Oh,
and the Bucs were 5.5 at the beginning of the year. I mean, when they first gave out odds for the year. We were talking about this last week. I don't bet. I'm not a bettor. I'm just not something I do. And when I went on DraftKings, when it first came out, the Bucs were at 5.5 wins, and I'm like, I'll do $10 on that.
That's easy money right there. I wonder if that was before they sign. Sometimes the signing can change it, but man, the Panthers have been stuck at 4.5, 5.5, and I just
4.5. I can buy that. I can buy that. You're going to stumble into a game or two. The first 3 weeks, I think, are dumb luck anyway. You win one or two of those just out of luck, and then you get one or two more the rest of the year. Okay, I can buy 4.5. 5.5, 6. I don't know. They're not winning 6 games this year.
Somewhat unfortunately, I spend a lot of my time looking at 2025 mock drafts, which is not. It's a rabbit hole. It's not good. I don't recommend it. But I will say I have yet to come across one that doesn't have them number 1 picking Beck out of Georgia next year.
Yeah. Well, they are. It's crazy to me watching and hearing the press conferences come out. You would think just the PR department would be doing things to try to sort of course correct from last year, and they're not doing that. And Tepper has gotten himself in more issues locally where he didn't pay for certain businesses and contracts that he was supposed to pay, and it's just become a. Let me just put it this way: the Panthers are a fustercluck. Okay, they really are. They are a fustercluck.
I'm surprised that somebody hasn't copyrighted David Temper shirts, and sell them, because this guy he's one of those owners, and he's a brilliant hedge fund manager. But some of these people, it just doesn't translate into professional sports ownership.
I was trying to think of owners. Like owners usually, even when somebody that seems like they might not be the best guy buys a team in pro sports,
right?
NBA, NFL, there's usually such a grace period where it's a few years before you can officially say,
right,
all right, this guy is a terrible owner.
Right.
And I was looking. He bought the team. His was about 5 years. Last year, it just went. He got on every bottom of the him and Jimmy Haslam. And it's like, man,
He went over the cliff last year and just
Yeah.
became. But what wouldn't you try to just fake it and put on a good face this year, even if you're going to try next year to try to get stadium money or something? But he didn't even no self-awareness or anything. I mean, going straight there. And the the people arguing for the stadium, and this to me is hilarious. The argument I literally heard this on sports talk radio here. Okay. Follow me on this. On sports talk radio in Charlotte, the argument was, we didn't get a Taylor Swift concert here this year. We need to upgrade the stadium. That's how we'll make money. Think about that. They're not even considering hoping. They're not. This.
Swifties will save us.
They are. This is how bad things are here in Charlotte.
If you stumbled across one of their games if you had the NFL package on YouTube TV like I did last year, and you stumbled on a few of their games, you could see in the stands. It was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. It gets bad in Tampa at times, but nothing like what it was here.
Oh, FC Charlotte draws better. I mean,
you literally could buy a ticket, lower bowl ticket, to a Panthers game for $2.38.
That was amazing. I remember that last year. That went viral. It was like one of their games at the end of the year. It's just incredible. It shouldn't be. Speaking of that, that's probably where I think Taylor Swift is on the European leg of the Eras tour right now. That's probably where Aaron Rodgers is. So
yeah, there you go. We've found the answer.
There he is.
Okay, Tony, I want to thank you for being here. Tell everybody where to find you. Where are the places they can find you and get all the goods from you?
Just go to heavy.com/NFL. We cover we've got a site for almost all 32 teams now. Just scroll down to the Buccaneers, heavy.com/Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's there. It's a lot. Like I said, we've done a lot of aggregate. We're doing more original stuff, but it's constant flow of Buccaneers news if you need that fix. So, and thank you guys for having me on again. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you guys again.
My final question. Week 1, I was shocked. There's already odds on week 1 Commanders at the Bucs. The Bucs are only a 4-point favorite. Should I be upset because I am?
No, you shouldn't. Commanders would be way better. No, you shouldn't be upset. Commanders could surprise people this year. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to win. They could have a chance to win in 8 games. You shouldn't be upset. They're going to be way better. They got a lot of good, solid free agents. They're going to be better. So no, you shouldn't be.
Thank you.
I feel better now. Thank you, Tony.
Save your outrage, Dave.
I promise you.
No expiration date.
He'll find some way to release some of that rage. He'll find another way. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Tony.
Have a great one. All right. Tony Adame from heavy.com. Heavy on the Bucs. That's awesome. Dave, real quick, I want to have a little fun here going through the schedule and just game by game. Let's see what happens, what we think. All right.
Okay.
As I go through the schedule, I'm going to bring it up here real quick. All right. So preseason. No, I'm kidding. So you've made it pretty clear. You believe in the Washington game in week 1. You think the Bucs are going to win handily, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The Buccaneers, I will say, did the schedule makers did us a favor. We're starting at home. We're ending at home. I do think the Bucs will beat the Commanders. But let me say this. I hate the first couple of weeks of the season. I mean, I love them because it's football and football's back. That part I love. But weird stuff happens in the first couple of weeks and everybody loses their mind because some crap team beats some really good team and everybody goes, oh my God, they're flipping out. Weird stuff happens in the first couple of weeks of the season. So I think the Bucs are better than the Commanders. I think they'll win the game. But having said that, weird things happen. Now that's the bad part about weird things happening. Week 2, we're at the Lions. Again,
Revenge. Revenge.
weird things happen.
It's
So
revenge week.
could be. It could be. That I don't know what to expect out of the Lions this year. Some people, and this I find funny, is people keep saying, look at their history. They're not going to be as good this year. Don't buy into it. Look at their history. And then I bring up Baker Mayfield, and they're like, Baker's great. They're going to ignore the
Always
history.
been great, right?
Right. I mean, Baker has never strung 2 great seasons together. He just had one. He's never strung 2 in a row together. So it's fair to say, I don't know. So I'm going to say this. I think the Lions are going to be good again this year. I think the Lions could be the team from the NFC. I don't know. Then we go Denver, followed by Philadelphia at home. Dave?
Win.
Yeah, I think so too. Philly.
Denver.
I'm fascinated by Philly. Is
the
Philly
only thing, well, I'm just going to say for
go
Denver,
ahead.
the only thing they have going for them is that Sean Payton used to be a good coach. What else do they have? I mean, seriously.
No, you're right.
What is there to look forward to? They totally botched the Russell Wilson deal. So they're hosed for years.
Yeah.
And you've got Sean Payton, which I was shocked he took the job. I'm like, you sure you want to do that, Sean?
I think he thought he could do magic with Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Well, not so much.
Right. The Eagles. I'm fascinated by the Eagles because I don't know if the Eagles from the first part of the season are the real Eagles or if the Eagles from the second half of the season are the real Eagles. Now, I know Bucs fans, we all hate the Eagles, so we're going to say it was the second half that's the real Eagles. And I feel in my heart, in my soul, I feel every little bit of hoping that they suck bad this year.
Oh, I think you're going to be rewarded with that feeling. They went whatever all that happened in the locker room, etc. They went to the point of no return.
Yeah.
And if you think about going from a Super Bowl that was very winnable to where they ended up last year, that is a huge crash in a very short amount of time. And I don't think an organization pulls up out of that anytime soon.
I don't know. Let me say this. If they pull out of it, their coaching staff deserves and organization deserves major props because kind of like you're saying, I don't understand how you reverse something like that. It's like the Falcons after 28-3. I mean, that's just an organization destroying team. I mean, destroying event. And
absolutely.
Remember when the Bucs quit on Raheem? When the Buccaneers,
he was just trying to be the best Raheem he could be.
Yeah. When the Bucs quit on Raheem, this is sort of the same thing. They just quit last year. I mean, when the Bucs played them at the end, I mean, it was like, okay, one punch to the face and the game was over. All right.
I mean, if you were an Eagle player, after what happened at the end of it, you sat there after the Bucs handed it to you in Raymond James Stadium. You're sitting there. Are you looking forward to next year? Do you have any hope in your heart that this is going to turn around? Oh boy, I can't wait to come back. Give me my OTAs because I'm fired up for what the Eagles are going to do next year. No, you had nothing like that.
What was it that caused that to happen? I'm waiting to hear because I never heard. That's a story I don't think we heard, but I think this year we'll hear if they have a bad year. All right, the next 2 games are at Atlanta,
and
at New Orleans.
Okay. Win.
Wow.
I'm fired up about the Bucs.
Apparently,
I am fired up.
Okay, so I want to say
they could be undefeated going hosting Baltimore. I'm serious.
So here's the deal. everybody who's acting like, oh, I don't understand why Kirk Cousins is not that good. Why do you think the Falcons are going to be that good? The Falcons won 7 games last year with Desmond Ridder.
He had a good
Okay.
college career at Cincinnati.
Okay. Kirk Cousins, they're like, oh, so you think Kirk Cousins is great? I didn't say that.
It's great for your fantasy team.
I didn't say he's great. I will say he's a lot better than Desmond Ridder. And if they won 7 games with Desmond Ridder, and they have added some pieces. Now, they blew it monumentally. You would think they blew it monumentally by drafting Michael Penix Jr. in the first round. Think about it. What if they had added a big impact piece in the first round, somebody who would impact them this year? They blew that. Now, where that all goes awry is if your old quarterback coming off of surgery gets injured in an early game, all of a sudden that idiotic move looks like a genius move. So I don't know. Although the irony behind all of this, and I want to say this, is if Kirk Cousins gets injured because of somebody rushing around their center and destroys Kirk Cousins, they could have had Graham Barton. So that's just an interesting point to make. They should have done something with that first round.
The upside would be, to be balanced about it, is Kirk Cousins. This was his first serious injury throughout his career. Otherwise, he's been healthy.
Yeah. No, I don't hate Kirk Cousins.
But because of the severity of it, would be an Achilles. I still always, whenever I hear Achilles, I always have the vision of Dan Marino going out there basically on one leg for the last few years of his career.
I got to also. Oh, go.
Well, and Kirk Cousins is 35. I think he may even be 36 when the season starts. It's not like we get Tom Brady in our head and how long he played, but that's not normal. Okay. Right. That's not normal at all. And when you start to hit 35, 36,
he's only 36.
The zip on the ball is it doesn't take much in the NFL to start losing it. So we'll see, but he's coming off injury, his first injury, which upside is it's his first, the downside is it's a major injury and he's coming to a new organization.
Yeah. Well, my take is, it's not that I think Kirk Cousins is great. It's that I think he's better than Desmond Ridder. And I think the coaching staff is probably better this year. The offense is, I believe, Cliff Kingsbury, I think, is our offensive coordinator. And Raheem is the head coach / defensive guy. That's not a bad combo. So I do think Kyle Pitts will all of a sudden become Kyle Pitts again. And I do think you've got some tools there. And I don't think the Falcons are going to be world beaters. Oh, my God, look at how incredible they are. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. I'm saying.
And you got Bijan Robinson, too, with the year under his belt.
That is correct.
So. And they're going to put points on the board. I don't doubt that.
That is correct.
Except against the Bucs.
And so I do want to say, it's going to be a battle with the Falcons. It really is going to be a battle. So let's go to the next games. The next games are the Ravens and Falcons at home. Look, I'm going to call that a split, and it could go either way. Here's the thing I want to talk about when you go through games like this. Every year, you win some games that you would think you're not going to win, that you're marking off as a loss. You lose some games that you're marking off as a win because you say, oh, we're better than them. Look, in division teams know each other. Dave Canales is the head coach of the Panthers. It's not like he doesn't know the Buccaneers. It's not like he doesn't know the personnel and their weaknesses. It's not like he doesn't know that sort of thing. So understand and be ready for a tough game against the Panthers when they play. There's a familiarity with the head coach who knows what to do against this team.
So when they're in Charlotte and there's 50 people in the stands, it'll be a close game.
Okay, I am saying this. Every year you win some games you think you're going to lose, and you lose some games you think you're going to win. That is literally all that I am saying. So when you go
On
through and you go,
any given Sunday.
yes, yes, and I've said this going back years. The difference between a really good NFL team and a really bad NFL team is actually razor thin. I learned this way back the first time that the Jaguars went from horrible to really good really fast.
It was like the second year they were in the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
I don't think they've been back.
They went from winning like 1 or 2 games to the NFC Championship game the next year.
Well, I think like when the Bucs and Seahawks came in, you were horrible by design. It was designed that way, the way draft picks were and how you could roll out your financials with spending and all that stuff.
Yep.
That's totally changed.
Yep.
And actually, when you come into the league, if there was an expansion team, you don't have any screwed up contracts you're trying to dance around.
Right.
You started square one. So there's almost like an advantage to some of these, like, well, look how fast the Vegas Knights did in the AHL. It's not the same game where you're going to be horrible for a few years. Welcome to the league. Thank you.
You're paying these gigantic fees.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if we're talking billions, I'm going to be pretty good pretty quick. So.
Correct. Okay. So the next games are the Chiefs and the Niners. It's a tough stretch. I mean, again, if we split in that stretch, we're good. I think that's good.
I think they only beat Atlanta in that stretch of 4 games with Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City, and San Francisco. Then they make it to the bye week.
Okay. So they go 1-3 going into the bye week. Okay. Now after the bye week, things get better. Okay. It's the Giants, the Panthers, the Raiders, and the Chargers. That's a key stretch. This, to me, the stretch going into the bye week, how do we handle those 4 games, and how do we handle the 4 easier games coming out? Is the season's made in that middle 8 games. 4 before the bye week and 4 after. That's where the whole season is going to be made. Thoughts on that?
I think the Bucs are going to cement their lead in the division with this schedule. Even though they're at New York and Carolina, those are 2 wins. Las Vegas, I'm not even sure who their quarterback is. And Captain Runback coaching the Chargers is not going to be all it's cut up to be.
Right. All right. Now let's talk about the way the season ends. At Dallas, the Panthers and the Saints at home. Look, I don't care whether Dallas is good or Dallas is bad. It's always a tough game for the Bucs. It just never matters. It's just always a tough game. If we win, we barely win, but sometimes they just kick the crap out of us. I don't like playing the Cowboys. But the final 2 games, hallelujah. Finish against the Panthers and the Saints. The schedule makers, somebody loves
at home.
Todd Bowles. Yes, at home. Somebody loves Todd Bowles. Somebody loves Todd Bowles. I think it's after last year and, some of the crap, the bad luck and the poor situation he was put in for the whole season. Somebody loves Todd Bowles. Because the way this schedule was laid out, the schedule maker, let me say this. I think if the Buccaneers, we knew we were playing these teams, we knew who was going to be home and who was away. And they said, make a schedule. This is pretty darn close to what you'd ask for. This really was pretty close to what you asked for. You start a little easier. You go through a tough stretch, and then the last part of the season, things get easier.
I was a bit aggressive on the front end of the schedule, but I do think the Bucs will win 11 and 12 games this year.
Yeah. I know on the Aftermath, AJ and Slick, AJ said something like, yeah, they're going to clinch by week 13. I'm like,
Okay.
You doing the math on that one? But I love the enthusiasm. I hope it'll
Well,
on.
to me, stepping back and taking my Buck fan hat off for the moment, it will be interesting to see how things go in Atlanta because Kirk Cousins is a great statistical fantasy quarterback and puts up the numbers,
Good
but
regular
is
season.
known for not winning big games. And and how close really are the Falcons? I've heard, to me, it's ridiculous. I've heard more than one experts, so to speak, say that, oh, the Falcons are now in the running for the Super Bowl. I go, no, they're not.
No.
They're definitely better, especially at quarterback, and that's going to have a positive effect on the offense in many different ways. It's going to free a lot of things up from Robinson to Pitts, etc. So it'll be interesting to see just how good the Falcons can be. I'm not sold. I'm thinking they're going to be like 9-10 wins, maybe. But again,
but I don't put
we'll
the Bucs
see.
a lot in front of that. I say the Bucs are at 10, the Falcons are at 9 or 10, and that's why I say, guys, buckle up. It's going to be a battle with them all year.
The Saints are going to be horrible, and I have no clue why people keep thinking that they are.
Yeah,
I just don't understand. Yes, we are very biased. If you say, what team do you hate the most? Saints. But stepping back from it, give me 3 reasons why the Saints are going to be better than they were last year. And the closest thing you can come is that, well, it's Derek Carr's second year. He should be better, right?
Yeah,
that's about it.
They're just not going to be better. And I know this is what Dave is referring to.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers finished in first place last year. And and I picked them to win 2 games. They won 7 more than that. And the general manager of the team sought me out publicly to let me know that I was incorrect.
You gonna do it again?
I'm picking the Saints first. I'm picking the Falcons second.
Ooh.
Picking the Buccaneers third. And I'm picking the Panthers fourth. I'm sorry.
Can I tell all?
I'm sorry. I'm just stupid. I only picked him to win 2 games, got publicly called out for it by the GM, but I'm going to do it again.
Oh, man.
But he's consistent, right? He's consistent.
Well, anyway. So that's I was gonna make this a short show. So much for that. Anyway, guys, OTAs continue. Keep an eye on that. Watch Buccaneers.com. Tomorrow night, everybody listen to me. Tomorrow night on Bucs Report. Everybody listening. Tomorrow night on Bucs Report on YouTube, on Broad Street South Radio, on the Twitter machine, whatever they call it now, on just everywhere. AJ and Slick are going to be back at it talking about day 2 of OTAs and whatever news comes out of tomorrow.
Did we have a Randy Gregory sighting or not?
Yeah, we will find out. I'm doubting it, but we will find out. If he does show up, that's a relief. But I get a feeling there's some reason he's not showing up, and it's
probably
one way or the other.
Not very good.
One way or the other, not good. Not good optics. Not a good way to kick off your time with a team. All right, guys, it's been great as always. Great talking Bucs with you, Dave. It was great talking Bucs with Tony Adame from heavy.com.
I'm ready for the season to start. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
And we are also on Sports Talk Florida. We are all over the place. Facebook, Twitter. We're on Bucs Report. We're all over the place, and we're going to be this season. So I expect we will most likely see you next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. It's good to have the 2024 Bucs back out there in the heat at $1. I don't care what you're supposed to call it. It will always be $1.
Forevermore, $1.
The Advent Health Facility, $1. So anyway, have a great night, guys. As always, go Bucs, go Bucs, go Bucs.
We sucked today. I sucked today. We sucked today. It was awful.